Thank you, Comrade Edward. It was longer than I instructed you to do, but I say thank you nonetheless. Party Chairperson, Brother Claudius Francis, political leader of the St. Lucia Labour Party, Honorable Philip J. Pierre, First Deputy Political Leader, Honorable Alva Batiste, Second Deputy Political Leader, Honorable Sean Edward, General Secretary of the St. Lucia Labour Party, Leo Clark, former Prime Minister, Savon Lewis and Lady Lewis, members of the Executive, members of the National Council, ministers of government, members of the Diplomatic Corps, Senator Carlisle Powell from NRP in Nevis, delegates, members of the media. I want to give a special shout out to the young stars, friends and family of labor, and to all those who are not labor but who cannot stay away from us. I say good afternoon to you, one and all. Please permit me to bring warm fraternal greetings from political leader of the Unity Labour Party, Dr. Ralph Gonsalves, and all members of the Unity Labour Party. The political leader and General Secretary have asked specifically that I confer and convey Labour love wishes for a successful 2016 Conference of Delegates, and to let you know that the Unity Labour Party is here with you in political spirit as you plot the course for this magnificent political party and its hard-working, honest members. Comrade Ralph has also asked me to express his very best wishes to you as you rebuild from the passage of Tropical Storm Matthew. I will be happy to report early tomorrow morning on my return to my party that the support for the SLP is stronger than ever. What a turnout here this afternoon. And the only way that I know how to do it, if we're going to mobilize, is that we have to move. DJ, you have that little song, We're Red and Ready? I like that little song. If I could hear it just for a little minute. Oh yes, let me move. Let me move. Oh yes. That's right. We are red and ready. And I could speak for me, and I'm speaking for you. We staying with labor. I want to thank you for having me today, as I consider St. Lucia to be a second home. At one point, I almost migrated here. I also feel very privileged to be speaking today, the same day when your new political leader will address you, your conference, for the first time as political leader. Thank you, SLP, for allowing me to be a part of that history. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I tell you, my comrade, brothers and sisters, that you have a party of visionaries. And this for me is most evident by the theme selected for today's conference: mobilize, organize, consolidate. If you, my brothers and sisters, will allow me to speak on your behalf, I want to say thank you to the leadership, because this theme is their promise to you, the supporters, that they, with your help, will be ready to govern St. Lucia when the next general election is called. And it really warms my heart to see so many supporters here today, despite the fact that we're just coming out of a tropical storm. And there is strength in numbers, and Labour people know that. And today, already by your presence, you have shown that you are prepared to mobilize. And despite the recent weather system, you have mobilized. You are here in solidarity with your party brothers and sisters, as I am sure you have been in solidarity with your fellow St. Lucians during the storm, and I salute and commend you. I really wish I could have said the same and expressed the same commendation for your Prime Minister. Well, I can't believe that a natural disaster has hit St. Lucia, and all Wednesday when things are bad, and into the greater part of Thursday, the day after when things are often at their worst, that all St. Lucians could hear from their Prime Minister is a Facebook post? No, no, no. No, no, no. No matter what part of the world you are in, you can call home. Everybody has a cell phone. If the Prime Minister wants to call in on a radio station, that is easy to do. It takes no effort at all if that is what he wants to do. And for you to tell me, oh, there is an acting Prime Minister, that is no excuse. I don't want to hear that. In times of crisis, you can be forgiven for not being in the country. However, when your nation is bracing for a natural disaster, and that human instinct of fear of the unknown sets in, as Prime Minister, your nation must hear your actual live voice, giving that assurance, that compassion in times of uncertainty. And I say, if you fail to do that, you have committed a political sin of the highest order. Where are you going come Thursday night to call in on television news? Too late shall be the cry. And yes, the Prime Minister was in Texas, and I have no quarrel with that, but I did some research. Now, there is no non-stop flight from Texas to St. Lucia, okay? But if you were to travel non-stop from Texas to St. Lucia, it would take about 6 to 7 hours if you're traveling privately. So if he had traveled by private plane, he would have been here to address the nation. But we know the Prime Minister does not have a private plane. He has said that over and over and over again. But I'm listening to what is coming from the table today and how much he's flying, like it might be a little more efficient if he were to buy a private plane. But the point is, if he was traveling commercially, which I think is the case, then he would have several stops and several layovers from Texas to St. Lucia. So you mean to tell me, on one of those stops, the Prime Minister of a small, developing, tropical nation, faced with fear of an impending storm that could wreak havoc unknown, could not take 10 minutes and call home? Shame. I cannot believe that he didn't have any credit either. And if he didn't have any credit, he could have called Comrade Pierre for $15 credit. There is no excuse. But one's conscience must be one's guide. And I leave that right there. And so today, I tell you that you and the SLP are off to a fantastic start. But the mobilization has to continue at the individual constituency level. We tend to wait until we are in the 3rd to the 4th year of a term before we start to engage in active mobilization efforts. And this we cannot afford to do. You have to ensure constantly that you know the persons who live in your constituency and you know the persons who have moved into your constituencies. It is the business of every single member of this party to make sure that our supporters are registered to vote. And it is never too early to start that registration process. As a matter of fact, I am urging you, come tomorrow morning, let us make sure that our comrades are registered, because we never can tell. You know, a lot of us like to jump up and wave when it's election time. We're at every meeting, we're at every rally, we're at every boat ride, and when election they come, we're not registered. That is a problem that we have to address. We have to be close enough to our supporters to know how to assist them. And please don't misunderstand me. A lot of those people who are there are really true supporters, but they just do not know how the process of getting registration is done, or they find it too much of a hassle to go to the registering office. Well, we can't just sit down and say, well, I can't do nothing about it. We cannot allow that to happen. And I tell you, speak with them. And if need be, go with them to register. This is the party of choice for St. Lucia. And if this party is to carry this country forward, we have to have the votes. And I am strongly encouraging you further to make everyone feel the important part of the party that they are. Caribbean-wide, we as Labour people have a tendency on election day not to go out and vote and say, look at our supporters, man, it's plenty of us, we done win already, you don't need my vote. Well, I think that we have seen that every vote matters. It has been my experience, however, that the more involved that a person feels, the more they will be ready to actively come out in full force and go out and support and vote. We have to get away from a practice where we say, you see that PA family over there? Them is all Labour, them safe. And while it is good to know your stalwarts, we have to remember to include them and to show them that we are all Labour and Labour is all of us. Sometimes, you know, it's not that people have turned politically, they haven't switched, but they just feel that they are not really needed, so they don't go out and vote. And this is, if it's one thing that we know, come rain, sun, or snow, people on the other side go out and vote. So we have to make sure that we are also there voting. We have to mobilize everybody. The SLP was formed in 1950. That's a long time ago. And I'm saying at this point in time in the party's history, we should not be worrying about whether we will win election, but rather we should be wondering and trying to determine how badly we will beat any other side. We have to make that commitment today that that is the approach we're going to take, and we can only do this by mobilizing. St. Lucians have the best team, the absolute best team of men and women before you now, and those persons who are being groomed to serve. Look at your team. You know them better than I do. And I am telling you, they are impressive. They are energetic. They are dedicated. They are, let me see if I get this right, intelligent. And let's not dress up the reality of what a well-suited politician in a developing country must look like. We want articulate leaders. And this is what you have in the SLP. Let's not take it for granted. SLP members, leaders, caretakers, representatives, I salute you. You are doing well for your party. Continue the good work. I tell you, stay focused. And remember, when you speak, everyone can easily check the facts given the information age that we live in. Research and continue to tell the truth. So don't go and call a press conference and say, oh, there's a backlog of 4,000 cases in the legal system, and when in fact it only have about 1,000. That will not leave you looking well. And please, continue as you have done in the past. When you are speaking with the progressive people of this nation, continue as you have been doing to create policies and make proposals and plans which are thoroughly thought out and can be realistically attained given the status of development of your nation. So don't say that you will, as a matter of urgency, upon assuming office, implement 5 to stay alive, but yet those tenants have not come to life in any meaningful way in your 100 days. Don't do that. St. Lucians have more sense than that. And tangentially, as I told you before, I feel quite at home in St. Lucia. So I pay attention to what happens in St. Lucia. So there was a press conference which your Prime Minister held on the 19th of September, where I suppose he was trying to report on matters after his first 100 days. And that many times when he spoke, I didn't know if he was more confused than me or I was more confused than him. But let me get it right, because I want to quote part of the press conference, and I don't want to misquote anybody. And if I happen to misquote, I'm sorry in advance, because I can't believe what I was hearing. But maybe it's the accent. You know, it doesn't quite speak in what I'm accustomed to hearing from St. Lucian, but that too is okay. But I wrote it down. And let me get it right, eh? He said, to complicate matters further, is that we have a very demoralized and depleted police force. I have a request for 30 vehicles. We are down to 2 motorbikes. No computers. And he went on. Well, I was stunned. I said, no, that can't be right. So I studied the statement over and over. First of all, the statement itself was not clear. So that was my first confusion. Because I got the impression that in the whole police force, that they only had 2 vehicles and it was 2 motorbikes. I said, no, that can't be right. So I said, well, maybe what the Prime Minister meant was that in the fleet of vehicles, there are only 2 motorbikes. And I said to myself, but that can't be right either. And then I went on further in the statement, and he said, there are no computers. At that point in time, I said, no, let me go outside and plant my tomatoes, because this ain't making any sense to me. But the thing continued to bother me. It continued to bother me. So I did a little research before coming here. And in the north alone, there are a minimum of 6 motorcycles in the police force. And that is not the whole country. And I say to you that I have a fair enough understanding of politics, and you would want your opponent to look badly. But please, report the facts as they are and not how you wish them to be. St. Lucians, you must not tolerate that. And in order to get rid of that type of governance, we have to mobilize. We have to feel energized. We have to refresh our party. We have to get ready. Comrades, a mobilized SLP without an organized approach will not result in success. The strategy for the next election has to be one of a great and sophisticated plan, crafted from the center and filtered down to the constituency level. But in organizing for the move to victory, I want only to tell you that some, not all of us, must change our approach towards our candidates. And first, I want to speak directly to the representatives and the candidates and the caretakers. As you organize, it's very simple. You have to reconnect with our supporters. Yes, I understand that the human body is of limited capacity, but I say to elected leaders and caretakers, if yours is to be a life of political work, then there is no success if there are no people. And the people of your constituencies have to build trust in you. And that can only happen if you have a personal relationship with them. I am of the view that Labour people are much the same all over the Caribbean, as we hold steadfast to very similar principles. So whether in St. Vincent or St. Lucia, I have found that 85% of the people just want to see you just because they want to say hello and see how you're doing. 10% might have an actual need, and the other 5%, they're neither bothered here nor there if they see you. So I urge you, representatives and caretakers, go and be with your people. You are depending on them to elect you. Remember, leaders, you do not own all the ideas. You would be surprised, as I am sure many of you have already been, of the many things you can learn from the elderly members of the constituencies. And while Caribbean societies metamorphose in many ways, in several other ways, they hold firmly to age-old customs and traditions. And while we may know the tradition, only those who have lived it can tell us what it means. Let's listen to our people. I also urge you, reps and caretakers, to never just assume you know what your constituency wants. Speak with them. And what you may have felt is an urgent need may not really be high on the agenda. So while you may be advocating day and night for the community center, a greater need, for example, may be to get some street lights in the area and have the grass on the playing field cut. It can oftentimes work out to be a financially cheaper undertaking for a much richer reward to the people. Now, the statistics indicate that there was a low voter turnout. Simply means, for whatever reason, our people did not go out and vote. And I'm saying to you, we must never, ever, never again allow this to happen. Representatives and caretakers, yours is the task to ensure that your constituents know you and they know you and your policies so well that they can't wait to vote for you. And I also said to you, don't be afraid to go into some parts of the constituency where you have not been for a little while. Don't be afraid. Your people will give you 2 little word, and then they will finish with that, and they continue labor love as usual. So go and be with them. Just connect and reconnect. And let me now speak about the candidates, but from a different angle. So candidates, you can exhale now. I finish with y'all. Now, it is indeed the job of a candidate to be out meeting people and working hard for their needs. We all agree on that. But it is also the job of a candidate to come out of this service to country well enough to enjoy retirement. Hear me out. We as compassionate Labour people know that when a man or woman makes that decision to enter into politics, he or she decides to become a servant of the people. The magnitude, however, of that commitment is sometimes not appreciated by some supporters. So I am saying to you, defend your representatives and caretakers. They too are human, and defend them every single day. Defend them on the radio. Don't let the radio programs just allow people to say what they want about your representatives and you don't answer. Pick up the phone and call and answer them and defend your Labour people. And when you hear other comrades saying, me, I'm not voting for she again. Never. Jamais. Like I come the Prime Minister can't speak the patois. When you hear them say I'm not voting again because I went by the office last week and I didn't see her, tell your comrades, don't behave so. Go back next week. Remind them why we support this party. We cannot get vexed over those matters. And when you call your representative or your caretaker cell phone and you don't get him, sometimes a day or two, don't get vexed and say, when he did want me to vote for him, he used to answer me fast. No, don't say that. Don't allow yourselves to think that, or you may believe something that is not true. If you didn't get a contract under SLP, don't hold that against your party. Your children got laptops. We got roads. We got better health care. We got greater education. We got bridges. We got sports. And the most important thing, you know what we got? Good, transparent government. Stand up for your comrades, my brothers and sisters. And tell other comrades, please, be patient and give these people who are the same human beings like you and me a chance. Can you promise me that? I'm staying with Labour. I'm not hearing you. I'm staying with Labour. Somebody help me with the patois. I'm staying with Labour. Good. Oh, that is a whole sentence. I can't say that. I am not saying if your candidate is not living up to expectations that you mustn't bring it to his or her attention. But there are ways and means to speak to people. You know the way that you speak to someone can either make or break a relationship? Do you also know that there are a lot of wolves in sheep's clothing that come and try to get close to our candidates every day? And I feel that persons in here have said to themselves, when you see SLP candidates in an area speaking to someone who you know is not a supporter, you say, hey, they're listening to that Judas, I hope he know what he's doing. I say to that, it is your responsibility as the people on the ground every single day to let your candidates know who is your supporter from who is not your supporter. But I'm also saying to you, listen to me. I'm also saying to you, don't let a quiz take you if you see your representative talking to the person again. Have confidence in the decision-making abilities of your representatives and caretakers. In all things, my brothers and sisters, never join the bandwagon and run down and malparler your candidate. Don't do it. Sometimes we as Labour people, when people are attacking our candidates, we like to say, oh, you know, it's true. He really into this and he really into that. I'm saying to you, stop it. Get up and say, I will not have you say that about my candidate. She has done a lot for this constituency and will continue to do a lot. So we have to get organized and focus on the large issues by getting rid of the small issues that often hold us back. And as I'm talking about small matters, I want you to take from my message a practice that is often very hard to do because we are well-intentioned. There comes a time when we would hold a certain position in the party or the constituency council, and we must be able, when that time comes, to graciously make way and move to the side and take a different role in the party. As far as I am aware, No one is a constituency chairman for life. No one is a political organizer for life. No one is even political leader for life. And that is one of the many reasons why I admire Dr. Kenny Anthony so much. I'm sorry he's not here today, but tell me, anybody inside here from Viewfort South? Let me see your Viewfort South. You're here representing Dr. Anthony. You have an example right here of true leadership. Dr. Anthony felt the pulse of the party and he made a decision. And the beauty of that decision is that it was made after much thought and proper consideration. So it's not like the other side where they have a new leader and all of a sudden you're hearing people sussing and having all kind of meeting late at night. I hope they're not discussing any no confidence motion over there, you know. And clearly, if that is the case, there was no proper evaluation of the succession plan. You could imagine if one of us was able to be like a spider in the corner at one of their meetings, and as soon as the leader says something, and one of the ministers say, yes, political leader, I agree with you, I support you on that. Political leader in his mind must be saying, you're saying political leader, and you well want to take my job? Over there must be a real ansness. But seriously, our party must not be afraid to refresh and renew. But this can only be done if we have the support of you, comrades. And when the time comes for it to be done, I don't expect it to be happening here, but don't fight and get vexed and fall out with your party. We are bigger than that. Labour people don't behave like that. And I made the further point that those types of issues are often fueled by persons who are not even in our party, and they try to use them as distraction tactics. Let's keep our eye on the prize. Let's stay focused. Now, consolidating for the future must mean that we bring all the individual components together with the ultimate result, as to borrow from Aristotle's concept, that the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. It means, therefore, that we must not forget any facet of our party. Specifically, I urge you to continue to encourage our young people to become associated with this party. Teach them your philosophy. Let them know why this is the party with which they should be associated. The challenges and negative influences which confront our youth today are far greater than any one family can counter. We need the assistance of positive groups. And I'm saying to you, our youth arms can be such avenues. The time is now to have the youth involved in areas of party politics which are attractive to them. The way that we run a campaign has to change. We have to engage social media. That is where the young voters are. We have to go and meet them where they are. The party must embrace such changes, and they must embrace them now. And I say to you that the traditions of the party and the general procedures, they must be handed down from the more experienced to the untapped youthful exuberance. By the way, where is Comrade Jerome Gideon? Where is he? I want to ask you a question. But I want you to come up here so I could ask you the question in your ear. No, don't afraid. We can't afraid. No. Come. But Comrade Jerome, I want to ask you this in your ear, me and you here talking quietly, okay? First of all, before I ask you the question, I hear you had a birthday. Was yesterday? Friday. Happy belated birthday.
Thank you.
Good. Let me ask you the question. Just me and you here. If in the next month or so, because you are a young flying eagle in this party, if in the next month or so, election call, and when the SLP wins, you know how to introduce a bill into Parliament?
Sure.
You're sure? Good. Thank you very much. There is no getting around it. That's all I wanted. Thank you very much. Technology is a regular part of the youth. And it's the same technology which allowed the whole Caribbean and the wider world to see who can introduce a bill and who needs to go back to see the Andean rows of parliamentary procedure. Comrade leader, you see, sometimes we have to look at the bigger picture, and the world is watching St. Lucia. I think we should take up a special collection here, and we're going to buy a Erskine May on parliamentary practice and send it for some people. But I tell you, we have to be able to capture the attention of our young people. We have to hear from them what sparks their interest in politics and political work. Don't underestimate our young people, but rather invest in them. Let them sow. I want to speak now specifically to our comrade sisters and to applaud the female leaders among us who have so boldly taken up the challenge of running for political office. Comrade Sister Emma and Comrade Sister Alvina, just stand and let me see you there a minute. Thank you so much. It is not an easy decision to make, as politics unfortunately can often degenerate into the arena of the nasty. But I say this specifically to our labor sisters. When the Lord created woman, he made her with such delicate form that any other being looking at her would never believe that she has the capacity for such greatness. Oftentimes, when there is a full appreciation of the weight that is placed on our shoulders, it is thought to be a miracle that we don't crumble and fall. But on the contrary, the weight is carried with the grace and elegance of royalty. That is woman. But with the enigma of woman comes responsibilities. And so I turn to the party and the role of the women's arm of the party as we mobilize, organize, and consolidate. When we look at political meetings, it is my opinion that the majority of persons present are female, and we've heard that earlier today. When we have constituency level events, we see in the majority of cases, women are the rudder. And I don't say this to belittle the work of the men, because there are many, many hard-working men in our party. And our success is the success for the woman and the success for the man. But when we count numbers, we tend to see more women than men. The point I wish to make to you, women of labor, is that you must not only wait to help organize the barbecue or the tea party. The contribution of the women of labor must not go unmentioned. Women have a strong influence on their children. They have an innate spirit of hard work, and they have creative ideas. And I salute the women who have run. You continue to let your voices be heard, and I know you are an inspiration to all present. But I want all of the women of labor here today to stand and let your party recognize you. Please stand. Thank you, women of labor. And I want the party leadership to take note. I want the party leadership to take note. If it was not raining and I had said, women of labor, go outside, the hall will practically be empty. The consolidation of the efforts to victory has to consider the role and value of every man and woman. You have leaders of the party who are receptive to your ideas. But I ask you to do me one favor. When you see a problem, don't insult your ability to think and find solutions by just speaking about the problem. You have to help your leaders by taking to them both the problem and the solution or a set of solutions. These are the things that help us to progress and do so quickly. We must continue to reform and refresh the party so that it becomes a place that all feel welcome. Young, old, man, woman, child. Remember, the boy or girl of 14 today is the voter in the next election. Although I may be wrong, because the way that I see the UWP struggling to run this government, election might be sooner rather than later. I have never seen more excuse making in my entire life. They're talking, we're having problems with the ambassadors resigning. We're not sure about if we could continue St. Jude Hospital. The dialysis machines need this. The last government leave us a bad budget. Oh, please, stop complaining. Stop complaining. Is it that they have run out of energy? I think we should take up a second collection. And let we buy them 40 bottles of linseed or ginseng or something and let it get a little bit of energy. But to me, it's as if they did not expect to win. And frankly speaking, they should not have won. And we will not make that happen again. You know why? Because they have no idea. They have no plan. Ipani pues lede, ipani pues plo. I'm getting it. If they are not up for the task of taking St. Lucia forward, then I say to them, they need to get out of the way and let Philip J. Pierre and his team do the job. Comrades, get ready. Finally, I say to you, always be safe. Hold your heads up high and strong, like the SLP people that I know that you are, and stand by your leaders and your party. May God bless you, and may you have a successful conference. Thank you.